want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Discord is not popping up right now for audio. And we are having a couple of technical difficulties, folks. I apologize greatly. We'll be right back with more of the amazing racing action in just a few moments' time. Again, apologize for the delay that we are incurring, but the racing is still ongoing, folks. Don't go anywhere. Oh, and a big mistake from the number 10, and we'll see our first full course caution of the night. God, this whole thing.
Currently working our way to the opening stages of today's action as we continue on with tonight's coverage of the McColl Racing Enterprises iRacing Shootout. We apologize for technical difficulties as we work our way to the opening laps of today's festivities. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me is Sagar Bakshi for today's coverage as we are currently working our way to the opening laps of today's action. We're on lap 7 to jump into the action so far today as more than 30 drivers enter today's action with more than $500 in prizes available over the next 3 races. And it all starts here at New Smyrna Speedway here in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. A lot of drivers here, to say the very least, looking to start things off for an intense race. Of note, a couple different contenders expected to battle it out for tonight, elected to send themselves to the back of the field for a chance for an extra $20. Joe Lawrence, Connor Prutico were those 2 drivers. At the moment, it's Kyle Edgar, who is your race leader, Dustin Monberquette in second, Roy Wilson and J.D. Davenport in the top 4, with Mason Culver, Samuel Fournier in the top 6. This Coleman, Hudson Nagy in the top 8, James Howden and Tyler McMurdo are in the top 10 as we're back on our way here from Florida. Cigar, as we start things off here for today, it's been a busy battle to say the very least. Intensity already with an incident side by side in front, in the heart of the field having problems. That is Justin Knapp that just squeezed a couple cars. And the wall is Andrew Castellan as well. So a few competitors having problems, but we are still green.
Still green running, but up at the front, it's gonna be the 47 and the number 16 duking it out, but the number 69 is in tow down at the bottom line there.
Chaotically in the opening laps. Again, 50 laps is on the board here tonight. That's gonna be the important thing to think about for these drivers. The caution flag, didn't see anyone spin around specifically in that exact moment, but we already have had drivers like Ollie Ferguson have to take a tow. I believe he may have been the spark in the 55 car. Now, over the course of this series, drivers will be battling for prizes in part with McColl Racing Enterprise. That includes a $50 gift card redeemable with MRE for the race winner, 30 for second, 20 for third. And a lot of the top drivers, when it comes to your Canadian competitors, are looking to try and battle because McColl Racing Enterprises is one of the better, in fact, the best places when it comes to the settings here, or rather, in terms of the cars themselves. Big supporters of short track racing in Ontario in particular. And a lot of those big names are in your field. Both the Nagys, Rick Spencer Walt's a part of this field. We mentioned Connor Prutico, who's done very, very well in late models, to say the very least. Paul Pepper's in the field. You also have, just amongst this field, veterans. Tom Gibbons, a part of the competitors, for example. So many drivers on the Canadian side have made their way over into this series. Even Jamie Mosley, the announcer from Delaware Speedway, jumping into this field. 32 competitors are hungry to battle on this racetrack here today, as right now, this field continues to sort itself under caution. Now, keep in mind that the caution laps do not count in this series because in Ontario racing, the caution laps do not count when there is an incident at tracks like Delaware, for example. So, it is mimicking that exact feel here tonight in these street stocks.
It's very interesting the different dynamics between road racing and oval racing, but the same attributes are there. We're still talking about drivers trying to push as hard as they possibly can, drivers that are dealing with fuel loads, tire wear, etc., etc. But we're back to green flag racing here. Let's take a look at the sharp end of the field, because the 69 is there on the point, then the inside line on Dustin in the number 16.
Yeah, Marquette, you're talking about, who not only has he raced a fair bit in the material scene and works on the crew side, he's also a driver for many years who's been competitive in short track racing on iRacing. He should be one of your contenders the next 3 weeks, Cigar, because he's a very quick driver and he knows how to pace himself and knows how to work those tires to make sure they don't melt for the later stages of a race.
And that's very important when we come down to a long race like this, 50 grueling laps, plus the ones that the drivers are gonna incur under caution period as well. And there is a low side move. Holy Toledos are out. The drivers are getting a little squirrely out there and shaking and baking for moves. This 36, the 41, the 31, 2x2 seems to be the order of operation, and the tail whip to boot headed into turn number 2. Looks pretty good for that orange and white 36. Oh, and a spinner for the number 35, just coming across the line down to the low side, and that will be a caution brought out. I'm not sure who was at fault there. Who did that lane belong to in your opinion, Justin?
Well, that's a tough battle, as for the first things first, drivers are still trying to sort things, but second things second there, I think there was a tough situation because Fournier was trying to come from that outside line. Look at this cut right here. Not clear. Rick Spencer Walt races a few different iRacing series, but also, of course, in real life, just was underneath that whole circumstance. I think in that case, Cigar, you have to be able to get clear before you make a move like that, real or virtual.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, sports car, road racing, whether you're oval racing, you gotta watch your spotter, you gotta watch the radar, you gotta make sure that you're clear of the drivers around you, because if you're not, you're gonna run into an incident like that, unfortunately, which will really ruin your race and send you to the back of the pack. But we still have 50, well, not 50 laps. We have just about 35 laps left of running once the safety car pulls in.
And what's them for those watching along from real world racing, because with the car irregularities, so to speak, where drivers will cycle once they cross the stripe. But the major thing to think about for a lot of these competitors here is it's a chance over the course of a full championship to be able to try and have fun out here. Keep in mind as well, they only have one set in the pit of tires in the pits as well, and a faster pair. So for many of these drivers, you better not wreck your car, or else you lose your chances in a field like this with the strength of field we have.
Now the question I have, speaking of the strength of field, because we do have some drivers that are, you know, looking at 1K, but we have some 7K rated drivers as well in the mid pack though. So looking at them, where do they want to pounce, or where do they want to attack going into this next section of the race?
Keep in mind, many of these drivers too have also raced them against each other and have worked on each other's crews in real life racing too. Back on our way, look at the 69, Wally Wilson. And back under caution, Wilson takes second, but Tom Gibbons goes around to the back of the field. He got some help from Rick Spencer Walt, who is all over his bumper going through 4.
And caution brought out immediately Not sure what happened there. It looks like all drivers are running okay. You can see the pace car in the background ready to catch up to the rest of the field, but all drivers seemingly running okay right now. Did you catch anything, Justin, that we need to pay attention to?
In terms of what to watch out for driver-wise, or what to watch out for incident-wise? Well,
Incident-wise, let's say.
Incident-wise, the caution was for the 10. But in terms of trouble-wise, I think it's going to be critical for a lot of these drivers to make it clear that they have to make sure they give each other space. They've just called for a quickie caution already, by the way, over the course of this period, since this is a track that in the sim, it does not have quickie yellows. So keep in mind, we might see a lot of drivers when it comes to this track here at New Smyrna really try and squeeze each other, because you have to be at the bottom of the circuit in the first place to make sure you don't have troubles with that top line bogging yourself down and losing your spots.
Very, very true. A little bit of aggression, but managed aggression to assert your position. It's a very different ball game, oval racing is, and I'm just trying to get into the mindset of what these drivers are thinking long-term wise, because we do have another 35 laps remaining and probably a few more cautions as we are ready to go green flag racing with Maconi Entertainment. Here tonight, the 47 squeezed into the middle. The 16 finds the high line on the outside. 69 follows through on the low line. Now we have the lime green number 30 of JD Davenport trying to carry speed around the outside line. But will it be enough? And there's a huge spin for the number 53, and that'll immediately bring out another caution.
Don York is to cause the caution flag this time. We also have a second spinner in the back of the field. Put us back under yellow here in this one. James Hartley was the other competitor with issues. And we're going to see those types of trouble spots pop up here. York, and our driver who races a bit on the sim side, also seen him in our leagues. Got some help from one of the drivers that you should expect to be good here tonight, that's taking the risk of starting in the back. Watch the 78, Joe Lawrence. That looks like the car he just got underneath them.
Just the tiniest of touches is all it took, and that brought out the caution. Just what a surprise. But like you said, these quickie cautions coming out here just because the drivers are maybe not giving each other enough space on the racetrack right now. We're still getting used to the track. We're still getting used to the conditions. So perhaps the drivers are just getting accustomed to how much width these cars really take up on track.
Joe Lawrence, for reference, runs a lot on the short track side. McColl Racing Enterprise runs with that signature 78. Also, the Lawrences are known for that whole army of bone stocks we see from them as well, that we see at tracks like Delaware and across southern Ontario. But it's Dustin Montbriquet right now, that's your race leader, with Kyle Edgar alongside. Edgar had issues getting through the gears on the last restart. This time he doors the 16. Side by side for the race lead. Wally Wilson clears for third. JD Davenport falls to fourth, and we're back under caution. Heart of the field, and oh boy, that might have been Lawrence involved. Yes, involved in the heart of the Hornet's nest.
Oh man, not another one. Horton, you said the number 41. Let's get a replay and see what happened here if we can. 41 definitely is worse for wear right now. A quickie replay of what happened to the number 41 on that restart. Coming up for you in just a moment. Here we go.
And he's one of the names, if you're a virtual racer, you definitely know. For those who are on the iRacing side, runs with Ryko in terms of his oval side. He absolutely got bullied here for a corner.
Oh, man. Just clotheslined.
Just ugly battling for a driver that runs over a Grand Bend, runs a fair bit of short track, also runs with grid life over on the state side on the road course scene. And that is a faster pair for the 41 already being taken not even before halfway.
You hate to see it, especially when we have such a long race ahead of us. Now the drivers have to be on their back foot for the remainder of the race, knowing that they don't have a faster pair to help them out should one of these competition cautions come out and give them some sort of reprieve. It's just not going to exist anymore for them. They're going to have to go in for a full-timed repair and then back out to the racetrack. It just really hurts their cause a lot right now.
Yeah, so keep in mind, checking in on those who have pit. We've had half the field at the very least who have had to take some sort of service in this race so far. And obviously we know attrition could cause problems for later on. It's a problem when you lose your faster pairs. But right now, Monberquette, Edgar, Wilson, Davenport are your top 4 cars. Combe is in the top 5. Culver in 6. Hudson Nagy, who's a stellar driver with a great Canadian Super Stock race for that Great Canadian Weekend, in 7th. Back underway, TJ Edwards then got a good jump for the outside. You see some of the drivers in the back trying to keep up, but Edgar is doing a good job battling it out with Monberquette. Back and forth they go as they go 2 by 2, a couple rows deep.
Wally Wilson and JD Davenport still going after it. Lacombe and Culver in the 3-3-5 further back, still after it themselves. The battles are not quite done, but lessons may have been learned early on about the racing space and how much breath to give the drivers around you. Kyle Edgar escapes up the road by nearly 0.3 of a second already. It's looking pretty good for him and his stance, but there comes down the number 20 on the 35, getting a big pinch, and they almost touched there, Justin, and a big kiss to the wall.
Yeah, a little bit of a squeeze and a little bit of a graze. Keep in mind, we're seeing it pretty clear tonight, especially with the physicality here. These drivers are not afraid to scrape door to door. It's more physical than what you would normally see, I would argue, in an SOF race if this was all virtual runners.
Oh, for sure. These gentlemen drivers are definitely putting it all out there right now. And I think it's a different category of racing when you've been hanging around the same guys for a couple of races, for a couple of seasons. You know what they're capable of. You know that you can push maybe that extra 2-3% that you wouldn't normally do against strangers, right? And maybe that's what we're seeing a little bit of tonight. Just some good old-fashioned fun between gentlemen drivers. And there goes the 49 versus Ollie Ferguson. No, that is Ollie Ferguson, and we have the 45 on the high line.
A couple of these drivers trying to get the outside groove to roll here in the heart of the traffic, but you see with the move for Faulkner. Going to get clear on by some of these drivers, like Rick Spencer-Walt, though, try to regain all the spots. They're about back where they were starting before. A bit of a kick out from the 23. Andrew had a little bit of a scrape coming down that previous back straightaway. But a lot of these drivers that already have the incidents already are at the very least making recoveries at the halfway point and showcasing their ability to attack these corners.
Yeah, they really are attacking these corners and really going after them. High line, bottom line. These guys really don't care as long as it's the quick line. What's interesting is that we see the number 16 kind of dipping out from behind the 47, maybe trying to find an alternate line or finding some clean air for the radiator of that car to keep it nice and cool while he drives around very, very closely to Kyle Edgar, pilot of the 47, up ahead. And there he gets a nose barely along the rear wheel well of the 47, but it wasn't nearly enough. 69 closes down the gap, and we have Patrico and Lacombe inverting position, and the Martini car goes forward.
You're referring to Connor Prutico, who the Pruticos have been very stellar when it comes to their late model careers here in Ontario, to say the very least. Connor himself amongst those who took a challenge tonight, are elected to start at the back, had qualified in the top 5. Talked about this, I think, before, but want to make sure for those tuning in, they hear this again. APC put up an extra $20 for your prize pool for if you get in the prize window, if you get your back to the front challenge complete. A couple of these drivers in the back, though, are having challenges, making sure they don't have problems here. That's Jamie Maudsley having a little bit of argy-barginess.
Oh no, that car looks a little worse for wear right now and maybe has incurred a little bit of damage because it doesn't look to be tracking right, but he's having a battle nonetheless with Thomas Gibbons in the number 10, who's on that outside line, and they're going to go wheel to wheel going into the following corner, but it will be the 10 succeeding to the 113 for now.
Steady out as we keep an eye on the progression of some of the drivers like Spencer Wall here. Now he's on Ryan Beagle. Ryan Beagle, actually from Oswego Speedway, a dirt racer, looking to use the outside groove. Can he get the power down? In fact, Beagle is showing some drivers are able to get that second groove working a little bit with the way the banking works here in this track. Able to pass Todd Shaw on the high side. Rick Spencer Waltz realized it too.
Oh man, 2 by 2. How many laps are these drivers gonna keep it up for? Let's go on board and see what the drivers can see, and it's not really a lot. Barely get a glimpse of the car on that low line there, unless you have a super ultra wide monitor and you can see that nose sticking out, but there it goes, and we are door banging as the 82 finds their way through. Now, will it be a switch up for the number 31? It will be a touch in the rump there from behind. The 31 gives a little lick of the stamp and a send. A little bit of paint grazed up against that wall, and now the send on the 87 looks good. And the Burger King car, the number 84 Fanatec sponsored vehicle, is also in line to make up a couple of positions because it's getting a little bit of a bump draft from his friend, the number 31. But maybe not the bump draft he needed because the drivers are getting squirrely whirly with all those touches.
Yeah, Spencer Walt getting the elbows out again. And some of the drivers are talking on the radio. This could be trouble for Wreck. Todd Shaw, Hartley, Faulkner all stepping on each other here. This is, again, just in the battle for 16th. It shows the intensity that you expect from some of these drivers here tonight. Faulkner, he now sends it as well to try and make it 3 wide with the 12 poke. But they're able to steady on out. By the way, for those wondering what's going on with the leaders as we close in late here, Cigar, things are going rough in the back. Hold on a second because there's a near spin there. That was Faulkner who nearly brought a caution out.
Cody Faulkner, the driver of the number 49, nearly losing it, but it is awfully close at the sharp end of the field. Kyle Edgar, Dusty, and Wally Wilson all nearly together right now. The top 3 glued to each other and doing very, very well. Let's check in with them to make sure they're not going anywhere, because they're not. They're all glued nose to tail right now, Justin.
And we know all 3 of these drivers have run in sim leagues. All 3 of these drivers have decent levels of sense in real life. You have Marquette, of course, when it comes to the Ontario Pro Late Models. You have Wally Wilson, that's coming back to All-Star Racing Modified Series this year. And of course, you have Kyle Anker, who's been able to lead in all this. But they are coming up the lap traffic. That's Marco Lender, who's trying to stick to the inside. 10 laps to go. And remember, a lot of elbows have come out between them. And now lap cars pushing up. That is a little bit of a scare for Wilson.
Talk about a code brown. You have a lap car, the number 17 of Mark Olander, getting involved in your... Go ahead.
23's around to the front straightaway. And this is a big yellow with under 10 to go. Gillespie has gone into the wall. And this puts us back on our yellow. And this freezes the field in a big spot in the closing stages here.
It sure does. Let's get a replay of what happened to the 23, the causation of this final caution, let's hope, with 9 to go. It's going to be a little bit spicy for the field, and it'll be spicy to decide who's going to come down pit road or not with just a few left to go. Here's the 23, and the number 8 loops them around, and that'll be the end of that run.
Justin Knapp, who's been one of the chattiest people in the field, coming down, and oh, this is interesting for some. A lot of people at least either taking tires or taking repairs here. Obviously, the front runners are not going to come down in this circumstance and sacrifice the chance for the win, but why not at this point? You have the set staring down at you in the pit lane. You may as well try and see if you can gain a little bit of extra spots here. After all, you want to start this series off well. Keep in mind, it is a 3-race schedule. USA International, 5 flags, so there are tracks there. And of course, those are kind of trying to replicate the feel of some of the tracks that these drivers have in Ontario for their real schedules coming up in a month.
That is really, really cool. It's hard to find anything like that in the world, but the fact that we have it here is pretty special. Now, let's take a look at the grid right now, because it's a little chopped up, but we still have Kyle Edgar, the number 47, in P1 alongside the number 16.
Yep, it's Edgar and Montbriquet once again. Edgar looking to try and clear things up. Edgar's made appearances, of course, in the short track scene. Originally had been a contender with some podium finishes in the Canadian National Karting Championship in his early days. But Montbriquet and Wilson have been the class of the field. But Connor Pritico, the 2023 Pro Late Model Champion, is right in the conversation. That 19 car could have a strong chance at least at the podium here, Cigar. Just came off a NASCAR Canada Series start of the 19 car just last September.
Oh, man. Just last September. That is pretty recent times. I mean, only a few months back. So this is a seasoned veteran in racing, and it is showing right now. And we're getting ready to take the green flag. Justin, take us away.
Green flag is out, back and away. Coming up to 9 laps to go. The 47 and the 16 have duked it on out all night. Edgar's led 34 laps so far. He needs to close it out, though. Montbriquet with a squeeze from the outside. Run down the back straightaway for Edgar. He slides up, pushes up towards Montbriquet. They lean on each other. Nobody's been able to clear. It is 2 by 2, a good 5-6 rows deep. About 2 by 5, if anything. Caution. And we've had an incident at the back of the field, and there it is. You see the stack up for the 335 in sim, 35 on track. That burns an extra couple laps here to try and set up an opportunity.
And now, is that a blessing or is that a curse? Here's the replay of what happened there.
Yeah, this is just a lot of cars making a lot of contact. Oh! That was right in front of the bottom of the racetrack there. Didn't get the exact number. That was nowhere to go for the last hit. I think it might have been Gibbons.
Oh, man, just nowhere to go, right into the side of the car in front of you. It's just not a great situation to be in, especially with 7 left to go, running in the top 10, now at the back of the pack. How do you manage risk versus reward with 7 left to go, Justin?
Well, that's a little bit of an interesting part, because here's the thing with the scoring loops, first of all. Now it's Montbriquet who leads. So the risk has to be of, do you want to risk bullying a driver you know you're going to see next week, when you know you're going to have to battle them the next 3 weeks here? And the big difference with this series that a lot of people might not realize here in the thought process is you're going to have to face them in about a month or two. So if you bully them too much here, it's going to be a conversation at the racetrack.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure the gentlemen will get into Discord, hash it out amongst themselves, and discuss the racing incidents that took place, as most racing communities do, to hash things out and to find some sort of resolution to incidents that occur. But it's all in the nature of getting better and improving our racecraft. You don't get to 7.5K overnight. You do it with hard work and dedication and a lot of practice and coaching. And you'll only learn by making mistakes every now and then. And I think those are just good learning opportunities.
6 laps, give or take, to go when we get back going. Check that 7 when we get back going. Interesting to note, JD Davenport got the scoring loop to take the inside row 2 from Wilson, but it's all been about how well you've been able to handle this part. Side by side, coming up to the green flag. Monbriquet inside, Edgar outside. Monbriquet tries to push up a slight touch. 3 wide for a moment with Prutico trying to force the issue. Davenport gets doored, still side by side for the lead. No place to go if you're back behind the first 2 rows yet.
Absolutely phenomenal. 6 left to go. The drivers cross the line. Dustin, then the 16, holds on to the lead, trying to push the 47 out to the painted wall, but can't do so fairly. Now we're going to go toe-to-toe, blow for blow. Number 47 keeping the 16 honest, but we're going to trade some paint a little bit as the 47 demands some racing and real estate. I love to see the backfire on these cars when they get onto the brakes coming down into the corner, and the way that these cars pitch is just absolute perfection.
4 wide behind him, by the way. Chaos for Connor Prutico into the wall. They're still 5 wide into 4. That never works here. And for obvious reasons, we're under caution again. They were 4 wide down the back. They were 5 wide out of the corner.
A little bit optimistic, to say the least, there. Trying to go 5 wide into that corner, and again that conversation of risk versus reward comes up. I think the driver is just exercising a little bit too much risk, and not a lot of reward was realistically available in that situation.
Yeah, now that sets us up for what will be a 3-lap dash here. I know you have more of a road expertise, but what would you do if you are in this battle for the win? Because it's pretty clear that the 16 and 47 are going to be probably in a drag race. What do you do to get that edge here with the way things are looking?
I think what I'm really focused on is just not overheating my tires. There's one thing I know about iRacing is that the tire model is absolutely phenomenal. And the last thing I want to do with 3 laps left to go is overheat my tires and start sliding and losing control of my car beneath me and potentially have an incident or a wreck with the person that I'm racing against. It already looks like the battle between Dustin and Kyle are not going to go anywhere right now. This is going to be a drag to the checkered flag. But we're going to get a lot of side-by-side action. The last thing you want to do is have an incident and result in a P1 or P2, resulting in a P last. So, exercise a little bit of caution, and discretion, being the better part of valor, I think will win the number 16 the race.
Let's find out what happens here. Monbriquet, Edgar, Wilson, Davenport, your top 2 rows. Lawrence and Prutico are in the conversation. Great start for the 16, but he had to lift. 3 wide, Wilson up the middle. Monbriquet bounces off Edgar. He gets shot out of a cannon. Clears himself off the 47. Up to the lead, Monbriquet. But now it's Wally Wilson coming at 2 laps to go, who's on the bumper. Oh, wow. The caution waves again.
And another caution is waved. The anticipation is killing me right now for what will the ending result be. Of course, these caution laps not being in the official results as official laps, so they're not counted towards the finishing result. These drivers are pushing a little bit longer than I think that they would like to. We're actually on lap 49 of lap 50, technically, due to these cautions that have come out.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because with the timing of the caution, they are currently scored in the sim at lap 48 to confirm. So it'd be a 2-lap dash. And a lot of these drivers are already showing what's been discussed with the rules and what you see in real life. The big thing here compared to iRacing is you can't necessarily take a massive jump in the short track scene in real life, in Ontario in particular. At tracks like Delaware, for example, when I worked over there a couple of years ago, the big thing there was if you got too big of a jump, you had to give up the time or it led to a penalty. And I think that's what we're seeing with some of these restarts, with some of the drivers having a lift, and that's what set up Wilson in the first place for a shot.
Yeah, it really is a good setup for now. And just keep thinking about these last 2 laps, Justin, and how they're going to play out. It's going to be up to the drivers. See if we can make it through clean. Like you said, Dusty Monberquette in the number 16 is going to control the field next to Kyle Edgar in that 47. We're going to see them go toe-to-toe, but we saw Wally Wilson have a great start on that last one, and he was able to chuck his way in and potentially fight for P1 and P2 as well.
So the field is reset again. The field is even asking who's the leader. Edgar and Monberquette are side by side coming up to control this. Wilson and Davenport still row 2. Vertico and Lawrence row 3. Culver and Bentley, Ferguson and Carson Nagy are amongst your top 10. Pace car is off. Who wins the first race of this series? Even start this time. They go side by side in a 1. Edgar off Monberquette. Monberquette up into the marbles. They get pushed up. Here comes Wilson, side by side, coming up to the white. Caution flag is out. We'll do this again, and we are in green-white checker territory. Next flag ends the race after this one.
Man, oh man, I never thought I would see it in my time as a broadcaster, but yes, a special period where the caution flag is going to be waving, but we still have 2 laps left to go once we go green flag running. A very special circumstance to be in, Justin. We're going to get this extra bonus lap to reset. Now, on that reset, we saw Monberquette lost out to Kyle Edgar there. What do you think about that, and how do you retort if you're Dustin?
Well, the answer I think might be simple here. You're going to have to figure out a way to squeeze, force the 47 off the gas in the corner exit, hold the line, because we've seen tonight so far, Cigar, the runs have been there when you can pinch. The problem has been when we've seen cars leaned on that are moved up on the outside line, you go higher than basically those second dash marks. We've seen a lot of drivers lose the ground they need to keep side by side so far.
Yes, they have. Now I'm also worried about Wilson in that number 69. He's been a force to reckon with these past 3 restarts. He definitely has been charging his way forward, and looks like he's not happy with P3 right now, or thinks that he can do better, and Wally Wilson is going to prove it on the racetrack here and now.
Green. Might have been too big of a jump for the 47. No lift this time. Up through the gears. Edgar holds on in front. A slide up in front of Monberquette. Monberquette slaps down the wall. Gets squished. Wilson is second. White flag coming up. Final time around if they can make it. Lawrence gets himself up to the top 3. He pushes around the 30. All while Edgar coming on through, trying to battle it out for the win. They zip their way through 1 and 2. Will Wilson go for the bumper? The chance to go for the bump and run. Wilson sends it deep, tries to set up a clean bump, doesn't get there. Kyle Edgar dominates the race and takes the win to start off this series as they crash behind him.
Amazing race. What a finish by the drivers. Amazing. It took us a couple tries to get those final 2 laps in, but when we did get them in, it was darn near a photo finish to cross the line.
And it all came down in that circumstance. Good restart from the 47. You have to give huge credit in terms of that. At that point, when you can't get yourself to the numbers on the door, see how difficult it is to be able to try and win this one with the outside groove. Kyle Edgar earning it on down here at New Smyrna.
What an amazing race. What an amazing event. What an amazing drive from Kyle Edgar. He really put it together down to the final wickets of things. He definitely deserves his donuts, and his trip down victory lane will be very sweet for him. And let's see if we have drivers ready for interviews tonight.
I think they're busy trying to make sure they pose up for the photo first. I think at this point, though, it's going to be interesting how the breakdown is after tonight. So the drivers in the prize pool to start off the season, Kyle Edgar, Wally Wilson, Joe Lawrence are your podium finishers here in Florida to start off this 3-race series for the McColl Racing Enterprises iRacing Shootout. So, talking about the run-through for how they finished out here tonight, as you see those times and numbers on the pylon here as well. Dustin Monbriquette had finished off at the 4th spot tonight. J.D. Davenport was in the top 5. Connor Prutico was down in 6, with Bentley, Culver, Ferguson, Ledson getting the top 10. Dave Sharp finished in 11th today, with Todd Gibbons and Mathis Lacombe in 13th. Todd Shaw over James Hartley and Carson Nagy. Olander, York, Cleston were in the top 19. Carter Nickel rounded out the first 2 thirds. Knapp, Hudson Nagy, and Mosley were your last on the lead lap, with Edwards, Pepper, Faulkner, and Houghton, along with Fournier, Spencer, Walt, McMortar, Beagle, and Gibbons, all laps down. Your top 3 is already getting set to stand on by here. Let's get the opportunity to speak with your race winner. He is now set up here. Kyle, you dominated this race with lead laps, but you still had to fight with Dustin Monbriquette much of the way. Talk us through that battle with you in the 16.
Yeah, I mean, overall, great race. I mean, I can't thank McColl Racing Enterprises, APC, everyone for putting this on. I mean, I'm not a racer in Ontario. I used to race go-karts 10 years ago. So to come hang out on iRacing, I mean, what better thing to do?
Yeah, I did notice the go-karting background. I've seen your name pop up in these types of races, though, in the Canadian scene, to say the very least, though. How does it feel to be a part of a series like this against some of the best in all of Ontario?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I'm at every APC race. Last year helping Cole Quinton. This year I'm jumping on board with Trayton Lapsevich again. So I'm around the track. But to come race with these guys, I mean, me and Dustin were door banging for probably half of that race. And I mean, look at the respect. So I got to thank Dustin for racing me clean. Wally, I mean, he could have junked me on lap 10. I missed a shift early on. And man, I thought it was done right there.
So on that note here, still 2 races to battle with for the next couple weeks, a part of the $500 purse for the total series. USA International Speedway is the next track. How would you describe that circuit, which is one of the oldest on iRacing?
Man, I used to love that track on here. It's been a while since I've been on, so how it races now, I don't know. I'll have to find out, but I mean, if it's anything like tonight, man, it's going to be fun.
Any shout out you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, again, huge thanks to McColl Racing Enterprises, APC, you guys for broadcasting this. Everybody in here, I mean, man, what is there, 33 cars, 32 that race. So, I mean, man, I can't wait. Looking forward to USA, and I think Five Flags, which is another great track.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 races, in fact, all the races, when you think about it, are Florida tracks. It could be a fun couple weeks. Congrats on the win.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Now, Edgar, good job done here today. Wally Wilson He's known for his exciting battling in real life, but as a modified, he finishes second. He's with Scar.
Wally Wilson, you had a roller coaster of a ride, to say the least, brother. Driving that number 69 out into P2, how does that feel?
Pretty good. We had a good battle there, and then Kyle, we were all battling pretty good. I was kind of riding again, and hoping something would happen.
Especially towards the end there, when it looked like it was all coming together. What was going through your head, and how did you keep your cool when it was kind of getting a little dicey out there?
Honestly, kind of like I knew I was fast enough to stay in front of all the diciness. Just kind of hope that maybe they shift in and get at me. Yeah, it was pretty good, and then kind of cleared that, and then thought about chip out for the win, but I was too far back, so it just wasn't worth it.
Copy that, sir. Now, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out, or anybody that you'd like to thank tonight before we let you go?
I'd like to thank all the racing guys for putting on. They're also part of it, and they're all together.
Thank you so much, Wally, for your time. Hope to see you next week, brother. Take care.
Hopefully, thank you.
Wally Wilson coming away second tonight. The hard work Joe did in terms of this series. We know how they work when it comes to racing. We know how hard Joe worked tonight to get up the podium, because you would let us start back tonight. A part of that $20 prize pot put up by APC. How would you describe that race confidence this field?
That was a ton of fun. You know, I don't know if I would do quite an incentive in real life. It'd be a tough one, but when it comes to this series, just want to have some fun and put on a show, and I think we achieved that. We had I think three of the top 5 went to the back, and I think we all worked our way up to the front. I can't remember where everybody else finished, but I think it was a good show.
Yeah, in terms of the efforts to put this series together, how would you describe how much you put in to make sure you brought in all this talent to be able to compete in a series like this for the next 3 weeks right before the real world season start?
It's definitely been a lot of fun, and you know, it's a group effort. There's a few of us behind the scenes getting this all together, whether it's the Facebook post, getting the sessions all set up. We've had a lot of help getting that all done, so it's been really easy that way. And honestly, I was shocked the amount of guys and the amount of talent that did step up as quick as they did to put this on. I honestly, at the beginning, being the first inaugural deal for it, I didn't expect to have concerns of B mains or sending people home. So it was actually very cool to see everybody step up. And the first race, I think, for overall went really well, and was a good run show, and there's room for improvement, and hopefully we can keep doing that for the next 2 races.
Yeah, so let's talk about that next race. USA is next up on the schedule. And how do you plan to approach that race, especially knowing the experience people have on the iRacing service with it, but also how much the track can be a bit of a challenge these days?
Definitely, it's fast-paced, but I think it is going to be one of those tracks that is going to be very hard to pass. You're probably going to have to use the bumper a little bit to maneuver your way past guys, but I think it's wide enough that you can do it clean and be a good show about it. But it's one of those tracks that a lot of guys are going to be very fast, and it's going to be, I think, bumper to bumper to bumper.
So on that note here, Joe, who would you like to give a shout out to as you come away with a strong run in the end, and of course, strong efforts to start this series in the first place?
I definitely got to thank APC for stepping on board to help not only promote it, but make it something that people want to run and be a part of and enjoy. And then McColl Racing for letting us put it all together. And honestly, I'm excited to see how the next 2 races go, and who folds out to be the champion. And we're putting together a really cool trophy that's going to be shown off here hopefully in the next couple weeks to go with the champion. And I think the first year doing this, hopefully we can just build and build and have a lot of fun along the way.
Congrats once again on the podium. We'll see how next time fares out in the battle for that trophy and that prize pool.
Thank you, guys.
Joe Lawrence gets the top 3 here tonight. Now it's our understanding there was a technical issue, it appears, when it comes to the interview with Wally Wilson. So we'll try this again with Wally. Wally, we apologize. Apparently there was a technical issue when it came to when we had a discussion with you. So I'll ask the question to you. What would it have taken for you to get this win after we've seen such the side-by-side in front of you?
Honestly, I probably should have just used the bumper, but Kyle and Dustin have always run me clean, so I didn't want to use it up too much. And I mean, hopefully keep them on my good side for the next couple of races.
How difficult is it to battle that dynamic as a result then of knowing not only are you racing these drivers likely in a lot of series, I know you run a fair bit in the sim, but also you're going to have to see them at a racetrack in about a month or two.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough balance. You don't want to piss anyone off on the sim and then have to go see them in person and it just kind of be awkward kind of thing, right? But for the most part, we're all pretty good friends, I think.
Now, you're in a great spot to start off this series when it comes to the championship. Joe Lawrence alluded to a trophy, for example. How do you feel about your chance with the championship, especially with this start to the series?
The start, honestly, has been pretty good. I think like the next 2 tracks I'm pretty good at usually, so I think I'll have a good shot there, but just gotta stay out of the mess and hope it goes well.
Anyone you want to give a shout out to here tonight?
I want to give out a shout out to McColl Racing Enterprises and APC for putting us on, as well as Joe Lawrence for all his work behind the scenes to put it all together so we have a fun series to race in the off season.
Congrats on the run. Good luck once again. Next time out, we hope to see you do well again, and hope to see you do well when we go racing in Oscar in a few months.
Thank you very much.
Wally Wilson taking the time to speak with us the second time here tonight. Now, Cigar, let me ask you this, your thoughts on tonight, as I know it was a busy night, I know there was attrition early, but in the end, some of the best drivers who know how to race in real life, but also in the sim, prove why they should be contenders for this championship.
100%. This was a driver's race, to say the least, and it didn't come down to just pure skill. It came down to just
technical apologies there.
It just came down to a little bit of luck as well. So the drivers really having to fare with a little bit of strategy, a little bit of luck, a little bit of this, a little bit of that to get it down to the checkered flag. So it was an interesting race, like you said earlier on in the broadcast. I'm more of a road racing guy, but this was just as entertaining as any road race could possibly be. The over-unders were there, the overlaps were there, the contacts were there, and so were the cautions to boot. So what's there not to love?
And remember, the next time this series goes racing, next time out, it's USA International Speedway that's on the schedule. Now again, see the session start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Qualifying will start at 8:25. The race itself is scheduled for an 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time start. Be sure to tune in here with Maconi Entertainment. But on that note, it's just about time to say goodbye for tonight's action. For our producer and my co-announcer tonight, Scar Bakshi, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Be sure to follow along with the social media pages so you don't miss a race here when it comes to Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you next time when we go racing and our trip to Florida with its continuation when we go to USA International in 1 week's time. Good night once again for our season opener here from Florida.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi's Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.